You know, when people talk about the Kardashian-Jenner family, Kylie Jenner's name almost always gets brought up with this air of either admiration or criticism, and it's fascinating to watch how her image has shifted over the years. There was a time when Kylie was seen as the ultimate social media success story. She was the girl who grew up on reality TV, used her influence to launch a makeup empire, and suddenly she was crowned the youngest self-made billionaire. That narrative was pushed everywhere, and people bought into it because Kylie was marketed as this business genius who turned lip kits into a global sensation. But when you really step back and look at what's happening now, things feel completely different. The hype that once surrounded her has slowly been cracking, and more people are starting to see through the carefully curated image. It's not just about makeup anymore, it's about credibility, influence, and whether people even believe in what Kylie is selling. When Kylie Cosmetics first came out, it hit the market like lightning. Fans lined up online to grab lip kits that sold out in minutes, and the scarcity made it feel like a luxury product, even though the actual quality wasn't all that special. At the time, the world was obsessed with Kylie's lips, with her transformation, with the aesthetic she represented. People wanted to look like her, dress like her, talk like her, and for a while, Kylie became a cultural blueprint. But the thing about hype is that it doesn't always last. Once the initial excitement wears off, the product itself has to stand on its own, and that's where Kylie's empire started to show cracks. Customers began noticing inconsistencies in the formulas, complaints started circulating online about quality issues, and the brand slowly lost that magical aura of exclusivity. What made it worse was that Kylie herself didn't always seem genuinely invested in the products. It felt more like a cash grab, a machine designed to keep money flowing, rather than a passion-driven brand. On top of that, social media started shifting in ways that didn't favor Kylie the way it used to. Back in her prime, Instagram was the perfect playground for curated perfection. A filtered photo, a staged post, and suddenly millions of likes poured in. But today, the culture has changed. Audiences are more skeptical, more drawn to authenticity, more interested in creators who actually connect with them rather than influencers who post polished, unattainable versions of reality. This is why TikTok personalities and YouTubers are gaining traction, while traditional Instagram influencers are losing steam. Kylie, who built her entire empire on being aspirational, now struggles to fit into this new era where people crave relatability. The same people who once idolized her for her glamorous lifestyle now find her unrelatable, and sometimes even out of touch. Think about the controversy she's been wrapped up in recently. Every time a scandal hits, whether it's about her allegedly trying to exploit cultural moments for publicity or launching a product that feels half-baked, the backlash is harsher than it used to be. The trust people once had in her brand feels weaker, and it's harder to bounce back in an environment where people are quick to call out performative behavior. One example is the whole "Kylie is a billionaire" narrative that Forbes once pushed. When they later walked that back and exposed discrepancies in her finances, it didn't just dent her reputation, it shattered the idea that she was this unbeatable mogul. People suddenly saw her less as a business genius, and more as someone who benefited from exaggeration, privilege, and strategic storytelling. Another interesting part of Kylie's downfall is how other celebrities and influencers have been able to steal her thunder. Rihanna's Fenty Beauty, for example, didn't just enter the market, it redefined it. While Kylie was selling lip kits in limited shades, Rihanna came in with inclusivity, offering a wide range of products that genuinely spoke to diverse audiences. Fenty wasn't just a makeup line, it was a statement. And the world embraced it because it felt authentic and groundbreaking. Compared to that, Kylie Cosmetics started looking outdated, lazy, and one-dimensional. People noticed that Kylie wasn't innovating, that she was recycling the same formulas and repackaging products without really adding anything new. In the beauty industry, where trends move fast, staying stagnant is the quickest way to become irrelevant. What makes this all so fascinating is that Kylie still has the platform, the money, and the resources to stay on top. She still has millions of followers who would engage with her posts. But the question is, are they engaging because they genuinely care, or because they're watching the spectacle? There's a difference between being followed and being influential. You can have millions of eyes on you, but if those eyes are rolling instead of admiring, then the power isn't what it used to be. And that's the shift we're seeing with Kylie. The fascination has turned into scrutiny, and the admiration has turned into skepticism. People question her every move now. If she launches a new product, people immediately ask if it's just another repackaged item. If she posts about a cause, people accuse her of being performative. She's reached a point where nothing she does is taken at face value anymore. Part of this also ties into her personal image. For years, Kylie sold the fantasy of the perfect lifestyle, the cars, the houses, the designer clothes, the private jet. But in a time when more people are struggling financially and becoming critical of extreme wealth, that fantasy no longer resonates the way it used to. Flaunting privilege doesn't inspire admiration anymore, it sparks resentment. When Kylie posts a picture on her private jet while the world is dealing with climate change, people don't see a boss babe. They see someone completely detached from reality. And once the public turns on you in that way, rebuilding trust becomes nearly impossible. Of course, some will argue that Kylie is still winning because she's still rich, still famous, and still selling products. But longevity in the public eye isn't about surviving in name only. It's about relevance, about being a cultural force, and that's where she's slipping. Other celebrities who were once considered untouchable have gone through similar phases. Look at Paris Hilton. At one point, she was everywhere, the definition of a celebrity. But eventually, the world moved on, and while Paris is still around, she no longer defines culture the way she once did. Kylie might be heading down that same road, still present, still recognizable, but no longer shaping the conversation. When you put it all together, Kylie Jenner's story becomes less about a single downfall and more about how fast things change in our culture. What worked 5 years ago doesn't necessarily work today. The audience evolves, the platforms evolve, and if you don't evolve with them, you risk fading into irrelevance. Kylie may have been the face of social media dominance in one era, but right now she feels like someone struggling to keep up. It's almost ironic, the girl who once set trends is now chasing them, trying to fit into a landscape that no longer revolves around her. What I find most interesting though is the possibility of a comeback. Because if there's one thing we know about the Kardashian-Jenner family, it's that they are masters at reinvention. Every time people think they're done, they find a way to repackage themselves and stay in the spotlight. The question is, can Kylie pull that off again, or has the public already made up its mind? Reinvention only works if people are willing to buy into the new image, and right now, the skepticism is so strong that it feels like the room for redemption is shrinking. If Kylie wants to truly make a comeback, she can't just launch another makeup product or post another filtered selfie. She would need to find a way to connect with people on a deeper level, to show a side of herself that feels real, raw, and different from the image she's been selling for years. Until then, Kylie Jenner's brand will continue to be a case study in how fast fame can shift. From the highest highs of being labeled the youngest billionaire to the constant scrutiny of being called inauthentic, her journey shows that influence is fragile. And maybe that's the lesson in all of this, that no matter how big you get, no matter how much money you make, the court of public opinion can change overnight. Today, Kylie might still be rich and relevant in some ways, but the power she once had, the unquestioned admiration, the hype that made her unstoppable, that seems to be slipping further and further away. At the end of the day, Kylie Jenner's story is a reminder that fame and influence can change faster than we think. What feels untouchable today might be questioned tomorrow, and even the biggest names can find themselves struggling to keep up with a new audience. Whether Kylie makes a strong comeback or slowly fades into the background, only time will tell, but her journey says a lot about how our culture treats celebrities. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more conversations like this, don't forget to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for future updates.